The North Pacific Readiness for El Niño, or RENI project, was one of the European Union's response measures to help countries impacted by the severe 2016 El Niño drought. Over the period 2017 to 2020, the Pacific Community assisted the 3 North Pacific countries, the Federated States of Micronesia, the Marshall Islands, and Palau, to secure food and water resources for the most vulnerable communities ahead of drought.
There are 3 things really which are very important with this project. The first one is that it addresses climate change, and one of the most severe consequences of climate change in this region, which is drought and water security issues. So I think that was the origin of our involvement, to help the communities to address climate change, water security, and the consequences water and climate change have also on food security and agriculture. I think the second point which needs to be underlined is that this is one of the few projects we have in the North Pacific. The European delegation for the Pacific is present in 13 countries of the Pacific, and it would be easy to focus on our immediate neighborhood, Fiji, and the countries in the immediate vicinity. But that shows the commitment we have to the region as a whole, and this is a very significant commitment, 4.5 million euros for the 3 countries of Federated States of Micronesia, Republic of Marshall Islands, and Palau. And I think the last thing which I would like to underline with respect to this particular project is that it's a structural project for us. It's not as if we're dropping some one-shot assistance. It's really to try to improve people's life, taking the full measure of the negative impact of climate change in this part of the world, and giving them the tools to be better equipped, to strengthen their resilience and their capacity to face climate change in the future and for the generations to come. This was a project which started in 2017, so it was 3 years, and I hope we were able to make a difference.
In Kapingamarangi, a remote island in FSM, with no airstrip and only serviced by a government vessel 3 to 4 times a year, special attention was given to providing water security for the elderly, the sick, and the youth. In Ailuk, an atoll in the Marshall Islands, the spotlight was on re-establishing the growing of local fruits and crops. This was combined with wellness activities, such as regular exercise, health checks, and healthy eating. Applying an integrated approach and bringing to the project many different areas of expertise and experience, the Pacific Community ensured all the measures were based on sound engineering and applied science. Partnerships with local stakeholder groups, established from the onset of the project, contribute to the sustainability of the project activities well beyond the project closure. The RENI project is one of the many initiatives in the Pacific region supported by the European Union to combat climate change. The European Union has recently embarked on an ambitious long-term Green Deal.
The European Green Deal, I think, is the cornerstone of the commitment of the European Union for the years to come, not only at home but also abroad. It's basically a package whereby we will make what is necessary to fight climate change with a very ambitious goal of carbon neutrality by 2050, zero net emissions. For the Pacific, it means that we recognize and we take the full measure of the existential threat that climate change is for the region, and we try to mitigate its impact for the people in the long run, so for the people now, but also for the generations to come. I think there are really 2 different parts in the Green Deal. There is what the EU will do at home, and basically if we commit as Europeans to a goal of zero net emission and carbon neutrality by 2050, it will be better for the whole planet, and it will be better for the Pacific as well. So we're fully committed to this goal, and hopefully that will help reduce carbon emission globally, and therefore slow down or even reverse, if we are very optimistic, the negative impact of climate change for the region. Then, of course, it's not only about what we do in Europe, but it's also about how we try to help people face the consequences of climate change in this region. So we know we have sea level rise, we know we have ocean warming, we have ocean acidification, we have incursion of salt water in arable lands. For the North Pacific, I think the main issue really attached to El Niño, which is a phenomenon which affects global weather. But in particular for this region, it means more droughts, more severe droughts, more frequent droughts. That's the reason why we focused on water security, and we also focused on how we can have a smart food system, taking into account the impact of climate change for people's life.